So, seemingly out of nowhere, at least off my radar, I think this just kind of came up out of nowhere. The Senate has unanimously approved a bill to create tax deduction for cash tips. First, I want to clarify this was passed by the Senate. In order for it to become law, it needs to obviously be passed by the House as well and then signed by President Trump. But I think the House already has like some form of this in that bill, so I don't know how that's going to work. I suspect it would pass the House unless the House is still like, no, it's in our one big beautiful bill. Anyways, I digress. One thing I do want to note, and there is a bunch of people, a bunch of dumb liberals, honestly, spreading a little bit of misinformation about this, and it is about the cash tips. Uh, I'm gonna be honest. At first, I was like, really? Like only for like cash, like physical dollars? Like, are you kidding me? Like people don't even report that anyways. At least that's the gist I've gotten from people who work in this, an industry that is tip based. I looked it up, quick Google search. If it's unless there's something I'm completely missing specified in the bill, cash tips by the IRS is like they consider that to also be tips from debit cards, credit cards. Like if you're at a restaurant and you pay with your credit card and you fill in a tip for whatever. So that is included in this tax deduction. So let's be clear about that. Yeah, I can see the confusion. I admit I was dumb too. I got duped. I have mixed feelings on this. It's one thing. Yeah, I guess it's good, but I my biggest worry is this going to incentivize like more like employers to move people to like a tip based salary, and that'd be bad. And I am a firm believer that we should catch up to the rest of the world and just not have such a tip based culture. It's so weird. Like, just pay your employees a livable wage. Like, I don't know what's so hard to understand about that. So I have mixed feelings. I mean, this could be worse. Anyways, the U.S. Senate on May 20th unexpectedly passed a bill to create a new tax deduction on tips worth up to $25,000. So it is only up to $25,000, but in a way that is a good thing. I believe it was actually Democrats that wanted to put some form of cap on it, if I'm not mistaken, because a lot of people were worried about, and them included, is they were going to use this as like a way for the ultra wealthy to just exchange money and abuse the system and claim like millions and $1 million as tips and be like, you can't tax this, bro. It's a tip. So yeah, that is why it's up to 25,000. Now, is that amount too low? I'll leave that up to you to decide. The bill, introduced by Senator Ted Cruz, Republican from Texas, oh boy, was brought up for a voice vote by Senator Jacky Rosen, a Democrat from Nevada. It passed with unanimous consent, a rare occurrence for substantive legislation. The deduction would only apply to cash tips and could be claimed by people who earn up to $160,000, which would rise along with inflation. Speaking of which, why the hell don't we have like minimum wage tied to inflation? Like, I mean, it's too late to just do that now unless we raise it substantially first, because 725 is such an abysmal number. Even like if you did tag inflation on it, like moving forward, it's never going to catch up. Anyways, the deduction would only apply to cash tips and could be claimed by people who earn up to 160,000, which would, did I just read that? Okay, no. I hate when they do that. They just, it's the same sentence. Okay. Like sometimes I think I'm like really dumb, but these articles, they're screwing with me. They are screwing with me. Anyways, which would rise along with inflation. And again, cash tips, that includes like tips through debit and credit if you're paying in that way. Ending taxes on tips would cost around 110 billion in federal revenues over the next 110 years. 10 years, according to estimates by the center-right Peter G. Peterson Foundation. Peter G. Peterson. All right, Peter. In a floor speech bringing up the vote, Rosen noted that the proposal was one of President Donald Trump's key campaign promises. I'm not afraid to embrace a good idea wherever it comes from, she said. So I agreed we need to get this done. Democrats are so stupid. I'm sorry. I hate them so much. They're so dumb. This party's so cooked. The bill would still need to be approved by the House of Representatives before it can become law. It comes as congressional Republicans are seeking to advance a massive tax cut spending package that would also create a tax break on tips for the next 4 years. So I think the Senate version is permanent, at least. I'm not sure. I'll have to cover it in my next video when I inevitably cover their spending budget again to see like what the deal is with that one. If there's a spending cap or if there's like a max cap on income and then how much you can deduct from tips. So I'll have to read on that. But the key difference between what's in the big beautiful bill is that is only for 4 years, while I believe this Senate one is indefinitely, as the figure earlier, for over the next 10 years it'd be 110 billion in federal revenues, or would cost. So and that's not much. It's crazy how little it costs to cut like taxes for anything for like the middle and lower class compared to the wealthy. Like how it's gonna, for example, the tax cuts they're trying to extend right now is going to cost trillions over the next 10 years, while this only costs 110 billion over the next 10 years. 110 billion. So I always use the reference point of I think it was USAID's approximate budget, which was like 40 billion, and I believe that's around 1% of our budget for 1 year. So 110 billion, that would be like 2.5% of our yearly budget, but like spread across 10 years. So honestly, not bad. So again, like I don't know if I'm necessarily against this. I don't think there's a whole lot to celebrate. This part was interesting to me, and I needed to do a separate fact check from our MAGA consultant ChatGPT that we'll view here in a second. The measure would have a limited impact for low-income workers overall. Only around 2.5% of the workforce are in tipped occupations, according to the budget lab at Yale, and 37% of tipped workers make so little that they don't pay federal income taxes. Yeah, and that, and I'd like to see a percentage on how many people just don't report their actual physical cash tips, because I'm sure it's a pretty big amount. So how much of the workforce are in tipped occupations? Because I don't know, it seems like, maybe I'm crazy, but that seems like such a low number, because I feel like there's so many people that just I know and like see anywhere I go into any restaurant or just anything. Like, I don't know. I feel like there's more of tip-based staff out there than there is, I guess. So I just wanted to double check. And this gave a little bit higher of a number. I assume it's just from it looks like from the Economic Policy Institute. Yeah. 3.4. Okay. So approximately 4.3 million individuals in the United States work in predominantly tipped occupations, representing about 3.4% of the overall U.S. workforce. The majority of these workers are employed in the restaurant industry, with servers and bartenders comprising roughly 2.5 million of the total tipped workforce. I don't know. Am I crazy, or does that just seem low? Let me know what you think. Yeah, this is a bill that I'm just gonna stamp as neutral. Again, my big concern was like, is this gonna incentivize employers to move more and more workers into a tipped based system so that they don't have to pay them? And I don't think that's a good thing. And also, just in general, I'm against tipping culture. I mean, I still tip because it's always this weird position. It's like, I hate the culture, but like I can't take it out. Like, me not tipping the poor waitress isn't going to solve the issue. It's not going to stick it to the employer, really. So yeah, I in general, we just need to get rid of this tipped based like culture. So yeah, and then the next thing, my next biggest concern, and this is such an easy victory lap for Trump, because I feel like this will, despite it making up such a low percentage, and most people in that fall in that percentage don't report their tips anyways or make enough to even pay taxes on them. I feel like it's going to appeal to a lot of normies, and it's going to be a huge win and a huge talking point for Trump and the Republicans, even if it has a minimal impact. I could be wrong. Uh, I've never worked in like a tip as a tipped person. I don't know what a tipped based occupation. So I can't really speak and say how good it actually is because I don't know. If you're watching and you work in an occupation where your primary wage is through tips, let me know what you think. Genuinely curious. But easy victory lap for Trump. And it's important to stress that, yeah, this might be a mildly decent thing. It depends how it plays out, concerns aside. But it doesn't make up for everything else Trump's doing, like destroying our economy day by day with tariffs, getting our credit downgraded, black bagging people and trying to deport them over and holding them indefinitely over free speech, the impending Medicaid cuts that he's endorsing, the cutting of Social Security he's already did. He cut like what 50% of the leases for Social Security offices around this U.S. and also some of the workforce in regards to the phone support and the cuts to the National Weather Service, which it's suspected that a lot of those tornadoes that went through St. Louis, we could have had a lot more warning so people could evacuate had the staff that were responsible for monitoring that hadn't been cut and their budget slashed. It doesn't make up for ending the $15 minimum wage that Joe Biden put in for federal workers and contractors, and it doesn't make up for taking away those same people's union protections. It doesn't make up for getting rid of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which returned billions to Americans, billions of dollars back in the pockets of Americans, and also came up with great regulations on limiting overdraft fees, which all of this is done, mind you, and it doesn't make up for kneecapping the National Labor Relations Board and just blow to unions that Biden actually did a lot to restore. And the kicker, this same bill, this same concept of no tax on tips or overtime's not in this yet, but Kamala ran on that too. So we could have just had this bill. Granted, Republicans didn't play the game of, even though we support that and would pass it under Trump, we wouldn't pass it under Kamala because that's the game they play. And I think Democrats should start playing that. So unless they would have prevented it, we would have gotten the same thing without all the downsides. Like, as unappealing as Kamala Harris was as a candidate, she literally was not going to destroy the country. At worst, the worst thing she would have done is nothing. Oh, God. But, is there... Yeah, I'll leave it at that. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below, and I will see you in the next one. If you made it to this point in the video, I just want to give a special thank you. If you enjoyed it, please hit that like button down below, and if you really enjoyed it, maybe consider hitting that subscribe button while you're down there. I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section. I will try to reply to any and all comments that I can. Until next time, watch that video on screen.